Today's Metro News television forecast is brought to you by Lou Wendell Marine Sales. We sell family fun.
I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. Perhaps the recent crisp air has you thinking that summer heat is gone, but it will be making a comeback. Monday, Charleston had a high in the 70s and a low of 57, the coolest low temperature we've observed in almost 2 months. Cooler yet this morning, down to 53. One more night in the 50s into Wednesday, but after that, we'll transition back to overnight lows consistently in the mid-60s. That's as it becomes muggier with dew points averaging out closer to 70 Thursday and Friday. High temperatures instead of 70s will be well into the 80s, if not a high of 90 by Sunday. So all of that is to say, summer heat does make a comeback. But for now, high pressure still has a clear night ahead of us with fog setting up and reducing visibility into the morning hours on Wednesday. By Wednesday evening, the eastern state border might see a stray shower or weak storm. Widespread rain, though, arrives Thursday afternoon, evening, and into the overnight hours. FlyCRW forecast starts at home. Chicago cooling off for later this week. D.C. staying in the upper 80s. Charlotte as well. Meanwhile, hot and stormy toward Orlando and Tampa. The Panhandle forecast. We'll see mid and upper 50s for lows looking north with fog setting up, as mentioned, and reducing some visibility. A touch warmer Wednesday with 81 to 83 here. Going east, we'll see more areas falling below the 60-degree mark overnight, and then topping off well into the 80s. 87 Martinsburg, 88 Petersburg, Elkins 54 overnight, 53 Snowshoe, then 74 for Snowshoe on Wednesday, 83 Elkins, 85 toward Ripley. Going south here, we'll see more mid-50s to low 60s, clear skies and fog setting up, then low to upper 80s on Wednesday. We'll be swinging toward 90 on Sunday and into the start of next week as well. Drier after the Thursday round of thunderstorms.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong. And they're all backed by the peace of mind protection of the industry's best limited warranty. Visit your Honda Marine dealer today and find out why it's more than an engine. It's your time on the water.
Five, three,
Red 57! Red 57! Hot, hot!
I don't believe what I just saw. Bill McKenzie kicks a 38-yard field goal on the final play of the football game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
From the home of the state's land-grant institution, inside the Health Plan Studios, in the Dale B. Miller Building in Morgantown, it's time for the state's most listened to sports talk show. This is the CityNet Statewide Sportsline. CityNet, cybersecurity experts for the digital age. And now, across the state of West Virginia and beyond, Sportsline is on the air.
Sportsline for Tuesday. Thanks for joining us. A mix of college and high school football talk coming your way. Kyle Wiggs, Brad Howe with you. Greg's over at the facilities building where, as we speak, Mountaineer coach Rich Rodriguez is meeting the media. And this will be the last time prior to game week next week. So we'll turn those comments around as quickly as we can get them, and we'll bring them to you here on the CityNet Statewide Sportsline. Good evening to you, Brad.
Good morning to you. Good morning, whatever time it is. Good evening to you. Getting closer. We're almost to game day. High school game day just 2 days away. Mountaineer game week just a few days away as well. So we're almost ready to talk games.
So we're involved, of course. MetroNews TV is involved in the MetroNews WVU SSAC Kickoff Classic Thursday, as Brad referenced. He'll be there at the game, and we'll begin a preview of that game. We'll visit with Clay-Battelle Seabees coach Aaron LaPoe today, and Cameron coach Tim Brown is scheduled for tomorrow. So we'll get you set for that contest. You can watch it on MetroNews TV following the Sportsline on Thursday.
Looking forward to that, not only because it kicks off the high school season, but that's turned into a nice little mini rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
Those two teams met to open last season. They met again in the state playoffs. They split the series. Clay-Battelle winning the playoff game, advancing on to the state championship game. So that's turned into a fun little matchup there, Cameron and Clay-Battelle, to start the season.
That's coming up tonight as well, a conversation with Aaron LaPoe of Clay-Battelle. Text line is open, 304-TALK 304. We got a couple of texts on this last night, but really didn't get to it because we had so much Mountaineer football content last night with a couple of players, and we talked the receiver position in depth. But you've seen recently that a couple, of course, with that court ruling from the state of Louisiana, you've seen a couple of players who were literally on NFL training camp rosters head back to college. They were granted that extra year of eligibility, and it's happened on a couple of occasions. And now, Brad, comes a little bit of a pushback from some of the conferences.
Yeah, you're right. Now, this is interesting, and there's a bunch of layers to this, as there always is when we talk legal stuff in the college sports world. So you're right. First and foremost, it was what we went through with college basketball last year. Remember when that happened, when a couple ex-NBA draft picks found their way back onto college rosters?
One was at the Coliseum.
One at Baylor. West Virginia faced him. It turned out to be really much ado about nothing, as the players really didn't amount to anything, or that player for Baylor didn't amount to anything in terms of a productive player in the Big 12. But nonetheless, football's dealing with it now, and it's just a sign of the times that we're in, that college coaches are scouting NFL preseason games, projecting who may be cut, and then looking to go grab them on their roster. So that story's developing and ongoing right now, and it's going to continue. To me, what's more interesting is that the leagues, all four power leagues have now come out, Power 4 leagues have come out and made statements that they were either exploring the idea of banning this situation, or in the Big Ten's case, they flat out came out. They didn't waste any time. They were like a good review that we talk about, right? They got in there, they talked about it, they voted unanimously, and they said, we are not going to allow this in our conference, with pretty stiff penalties if you follow. So, couple parts there. We've heard a lot of talk coming out of conferences about self-governance, and that if the NCAA wasn't able to provide the governance that was needed, that some of these leagues would start to govern themselves. It began with Greg Sankey this summer in the SEC. Everybody went up in arms, thought that meant they were going to try and disassociate and leave and just play their own schedule. He all along did say, I'm more interested in self-governance. So a couple parts to that. One, maybe this is the first step towards that, of leagues taking ownership and saying, here's what the rule is going to be. Then the other part of that is, clearly these leagues are in communication with each other, because that's a concern with self-governance, that one conference does it, another conference doesn't follow suit, and you've got these different rules. All four conferences, power-wise, are talking or enacting rules about this. It leads to then the next point. I do think, Kyle, if there's one thing that you can agree upon, and if you're just trying to get some rules in place to get this started, that's probably a reasonable place to start. If you've been in an NFL training camp, or probably even NBA camp, you're ineligible to play in college. That probably makes some sense for most people around this. Now, that doesn't absolve you from getting a legal challenge. So the next part of that probably is these conferences now are going to become defendants in lawsuits as well. But that's for another day. For now, the self-governance part of this, to me, is the main story of this.
Well, we've seen that on a couple of occasions this summer with lines that you just can't cross. First was the Brendan Sorsby situation with the gambling. That looked like it was going to go forward. The Big 12 pushed back a little bit against it. Eventually, both the school and the kids said, hey, we're not up for this fight. And then now you've got this situation. As you said, the Big 10 coming out and basically banning it. The Big 10 athletic directors unanimously approving this rule. It later received unanimous support from the conference's faculty athletic representatives. So it's not going to happen in the Big 10. Now, LSU has already made moves, or kind of started the process of acquiring the services of a couple of these players, so we'll see how the SEC handles it.
Well, yeah, you're right, and I think that's what I want to see here. Is this one of those, listen, a lot of people publicly, on record with their names attached to it in athletic administration, came out and hammered the Big 12 for what was going on with Brendan Sorsby and not jumping in sooner. Okay, guys, now you step up right here, and let's see what the SEC, is this one of those situations where we want rules, but we only want rules for you all? We're not going to play by the rules? Or are they going to step up and follow suit that the Big Ten has already shown to be a leader in this category? I give the Big Ten credit. They at least stood on this and said, we are not crossing this line. Will Greg Sankey put his words behind where his mouth has been earlier and follow through with this and stand up to LSU? We'll have to see.
And again, as the texter points out, leave it to Lane Kiffin. to be the first to the party of nonsense.
There's no doubt, but I will also say this: if you want to take the other side of this argument, I kind of get this from a coach perspective. Your job is to win, and you're going to get fired if you don't win enough, and we all know that's the case. I can understand coaches saying, well, hold on here. If the courts have approved this and someone else is going to take him, why can't I? I think the coaches have a good argument in that setting, is that, okay, we're going to try and stand on principle, but they're not, and that's who I'm being judged against, and I'm competing against them. And if I lose to them, you're going to potentially fire me. I don't understand that as a coach. So I do kind of get the coach argument. I guess that's where I land, where this has to fall back on a presidential level, an athletic director level, maybe even more to that, a commissioner level, rallying that support. I get where the coaches are coming from on this.
This texter taking the Kiffin hate to the next level. My second favorite team this year is whoever plays LSU, according to the texter. So, yeah, that's going to be fun. Obviously, 40-some million spent on the roster, a top 10 team with Lane Kiffin, and, of course, the way he left his previous school. I think that is I think there's a lot built up against Lane Kiffin and LSU in college football and inside the SEC.
Yeah, there's no doubt. We'll have to see if that money spent not only on the roster but on what they spent to fire Brian Kelly and get Lane Kiffin, see if that plays out to matter. It is still his first year in the program. That's a lot of high hopes there and high expectations for a team that hasn't proven it yet.
304 Talk 304, that is the text line. Again, we anticipate getting the post-practice comments from head coach Rich Rodriguez. They're ongoing right now as we speak. All of the Metro News programming, the high school programming, returning this week, including High School Sportsline tomorrow night, the debut of that program. We mentioned the Kickoff Classic on Metro News TV, Cameron and Clay-Battelle on Thursday night, and Fred Persinger and Dave Jecklin will be back with another full season of Game Night, and that debuts coming up Friday night at 9:30 on Metro News TV and following your local high school football coverage. So high school football's arrived. We got to wait just a little bit longer for the Mountaineers.
Well, great. As we just did a 15-minute segment there to open the show on legal processes. Again, as I keep saying, let's get to the games and play the games. Can't wait.
We'll take a break. We're scheduled to be joined by Aaron LaPoe of Clay-Battelle when the CityNet statewide sports line continues. We're inside the Health Plan Studios since 1979. The Health Plan has called West Virginia home. From humble beginnings, they've grown alongside West Virginia, becoming a part of its fabric. For over 4 decades, they've been here through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses, proudly serving West Virginia for over 40 years. The Health Plan.
We are there for you, to care for you at the Health Plan. We are here for you.
It's good to have options for your family or employees. Rooted in your community since 1979, the Health Plan is your trusted partner. Get flexible coverage, exceptional support, and competitive rates.
The Health Plan, we are here for you.
Hey, this is Brad Howe for your local internet provider, CityNet. Fiber is now at your front door and even in rural areas and communities across West Virginia. Thanks to broadband expansion funding, your tax dollars helped make it possible. And CityNet turned that investment into real connections for local families and businesses. Now, you can get blazing fast fiber internet with free installation, free equipment, no long-term contract, and local customer support that's always close to home. Don't settle for slow or no internet for another day. When it's high-speed internet you need, CityNet.net connects, protects, and perfects.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet statewide sports line returns in 2 minutes on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
Football season begins right here on Metro News Television. Join us Thursday, August 27th for the 2026 WVSSAC Kickoff Game, presented by the Army National Guard. The Cameron Dragons battle the Clay-Battelle Seabees live from Blacksville. Don't miss the first kickoff of the new season, the 2026 WVSSAC Kickoff Game, Thursday, August 27th at 7 p.m. Pre-game coverage starts at 6:30 p.m. Powered by GoMart, only on Metro News Television.
On the next State of Minds.
I was in liver failure, and I was told I needed to quit drinking or I was going to die, and that was at 36. When he invited me to church, all the hair on my arms, my chest, my back, it all stood up. You're taught to love, you're taught to forgive, and there's a reason for that. it lets you be healthy and lets you move forward with a vision for your life that's not defined by what happened to you.
This week on the Metro News Television Game of the Week, powered by GoMart, the Grafton Bearcats travel to Philip Barber for the Week 1 matchup. Join us Friday, August 28th at 7 p.m. for complete live coverage from George Breyer Field. Watch live on Metro News Television, YouTube, and Facebook. Bearcats versus Colts. Friday, August 28th at 7 p.m. The Metro News Television Game of the Week, powered by GoMart.
Across West Virginia, connection begins with fast, reliable fiber internet. Connecting overlooked communities to what matters most. Protecting businesses with managed IT and advanced cybersecurity backed by local experts. Perfecting technology experiences while investing in West Virginia's future. CityNet, built and supported by West Virginians, for West Virginia.
CityNet statewide Sportsline for this Tuesday night. Kyle and Brad, Greg over at the facilities building. We're told that the coach was hung up just a little bit, started a little bit late, which is very unusual. Rich normally is punctual. I'm sure something happened legitimate that kept him behind by about 15 or 16 minutes. But we still hope to get the coach on.
We'll get a couple comments in here, but before he's done, he usually doesn't go too long here as we get this close to game week. He'll jump in there. We'll get it cut. We'll get him on here in just a bit.
Also, attempts to reach Aaron LaPoe in the western end of Monongalia County, where cell service is a little sketchy in places out there.
Getting close to game day there and here. Those coaches are trying to squeeze every minute out of film study they can here. So we'll hope to hear from Aaron coming up here in just a bit.
We're working on both of those things. In the meantime, of course, there's a lot of passion among college football fans, and we all know that. So the question is, we spent the first segment talking about the legality and really the ethical nature of bringing guys into your program who have already advanced to the next level. So let's put that question out there to Mountaineer fans. Would this be something you would be okay with if the opportunity presented itself to bring someone back into the program or a transfer who's been in an NFL camp? If you had the opportunity to benefit from this loophole.
If it's your team, would you welcome it? If West Virginia was involved in this, would you welcome that? Would that change your opinion on it? Quite frankly, it probably would on mine, Kyle. I as I said going into the break there, I do see the coach point of it where it says if some are going to allow it, why should we not be able to benefit from that, especially if you're judged on wins and losses? So I'd be really interested to see how fans take that. I know we become one of those things that I just said where it's we like the rules, but you don't want the rules to apply to your team. You want them to apply to others. So would you be all right with that? Would you welcome that if West Virginia was pursuing somebody that was just in an NFL camp? Text us 304-825-5304. Here's what's interesting about it. You know, Brendan Lorient went through this, Kyle. I mean, this was a reason he had opportunities to sign NBA-wise and participate in the Summer League. He chose not to, hoping to keep that door open and be able to come back for a fifth season at West Virginia. We know that's working its way through the legal system, but he was one that decided to go and do it that way. Trey Eaglestaff's the other way. He was on an NBA Summer League roster, didn't get a lot of minutes for the Knicks, but he was in fact in Vegas and on that New York Knicks roster. So I'm interested to see what our listeners would say, that if it's West Virginia involved in this and not LSU, would you be okay with it if it benefited your team?
Texter says, although I disagree with him, Lane Kiffin made a very strong argument to include these players on the Pat McAfee show today. I still blame the NCAA for this fiasco. They should have included and rewarded the players for graduating in 4 years instead of excluding them.
Yeah, there's a lot, again, we've gone through this, and there's a lot of people that say, I just don't know why they didn't just loop that last class in there, and we're seeing a lot of these state suits or states suits that are handled in the states get approved, and the player is winning these. And so there is a lot of question about that. The flip side tells you some think the NCAA did this to create the maximum amount of chaos they could to help promote or push the Protect College Sports Act. Where that lies, maybe we'll never know. We'll find out about that. But it has certainly created a whole nother level of chaos to this thing.
Texter asks if it's still called the facilities building, or is that just me? Did that go out with the Nealon era and the first Rich era?
Yeah, probably, but I still call it the facilities building every time. So
I'm not the only one.
Feel free, Kyle.
Okay, it's the facilities building. Texter says, my answer to question that is that if a player attends an NBA camp or an NFL camp and there is not a successful yes, give them an opportunity to come back. So this texter is okay with that. If you get, it used to be you could put your name in for the draft, be evaluated, and then as long as you pulled yourself back out, you were okay. But this texter is saying that's okay. Give them the next step. If they get to a camp, they're not good enough for the NFL yet, let them come back to college, especially if they do not have a degree at this point or only a bachelor's degree. Otherwise, not overall, this college sports legal situation is as tangled as 100 Tinker Toys covered in silly string.
Good Tinker Toy reference right there. That's going to be a certain age to know the Tinker Toys. I like that. Listen, I see that side of it too, Kyle, that there's you don't make it in the league, you have the opportunity to come back. I wonder if the line, again, this is why we say this all the time, this is why it is hard to get consensus in college sports when you get to these rulings. Never mind that the courts are telling you that it shouldn't be allowed. It's just hard to get everybody to agree with this. I understand the sentiment that, how about this? I'll take it from another way. I think I could get behind if you were in a camp, if you went to an NFL camp, that excludes you. You're now out even if you're cut. You cannot come back to college. But I would have some sympathy for a player that went undrafted through the process. You declare for the draft, whatever sport that may be. You go undrafted, which is more likely in a basketball than it would be on football because there's longer rounds. Or even, I'll give you another one. What about a Shedeur Sanders situation where he had eligibility remaining? He leaves. He starts sliding down that draft board, and you start to get in that third day and you're not drafted. What if you pulled then? I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see that, by the way, if this goes through. What if you pull out then? Before you get drafted, before you go to a camp, would that be legal? I could probably get behind that as well. So I see what the texter's saying. If you force me to give a hard opinion, if I had to make a vote, I think I could get behind if you're in an NFL or NBA camp, you cannot return to college. I think I could live with that.
304 Talk 304, would you be okay if the Mountaineers got a player who was in an NFL camp recently? Or is that a line that can't be crossed? Texter says, I would be okay with the player coming back as long as he did not get the NIL money and he had to pay his own way. Texter says, I know that's wholly unrealistic, but the kids on the roster got to grow.
Yeah, I don't think I could get behind that. If everybody else is getting their dollars, you've earned those dollars to come back. I think I'm not behind that.
There's a whole other question. A program like LSU probably has unlimited funds, right? Lane Kiffin picks up the phone and somebody says, all right, we'll give you money for these 2 or 3 individuals, whatever. West Virginia's got its money budgeted out. There's probably none left. Or very little left.
Well, it's the same process. I mean, you have to go back and you try and find more if those options become available. So
what I'm saying, that's harder to do at a place like West Virginia.
It's harder, but it was just done. So it's not impossible, and that happens. So it's the degree of how hard it is certainly changes by institutions, but it doesn't make it impossible, and it certainly wasn't impossible here at West Virginia.
Pigpen from Boone County. The way I see it, they're already getting paid. It's no longer amateur sports, so why not? Throwing up his hands.
Yeah, there's others that say that as well. You've already blurred the line so much between professional and college. Why not?
304 Talk 304. Mike and Scott Depot wants to know our take on Week 0 matchups with TCU and North Carolina, and also North Carolina State at Virginia. That's a huge game for Virginia.
That's the one I'm most interested in watching for selfish reasons for West Virginia. I want to see what this Virginia team does. They are a fascinating case study. 11 wins in the first 3 years for Tony Elliott. They pop up and win 11 games last year, one of the luckiest teams in America. And I don't mean that to take a shot at them. I mean it by the way they won so many one-score games, their turnover situations. They were living a charmed life last year. Does that regress and come back to the pack? And that's a tough opener, right? You're going for a conference game right out of the gate. So, yes, we'll certainly be tuned in to UVA. The TCU one presents one of those interesting opportunities that we debate all the time. Do you root for the Big 12 in non-conference games, Or do you side with, forget it, TCU, I'm not rooting for you. I'm not rooting for anybody in the league.
There's the Bella jerk factor, too.
That's what I mean. That factors into, do you root for a conference school? I think I'm on that line right now, given the current state of college sports and the way there's this push national media-wise to make this into a Big Two. I think we're sitting in the position we were with the Big East when West Virginia went down to Georgia and won in that Sugar Bowl, and it rallied the Big East and saved the national reputation of the league. I think you're trending in that direction. I think this league needs to have some marquee non-conference wins, and I know UNC is expected to be terrible, but that would still qualify as a big win over Belichick, continue to pound them in the ground a little bit. I think this is one where I have to come over and root a little bit for TCU.
Well, me personally, like that the previous texter had the Kiffin hate, I could never, ever, ever, ever root for Bill Belichick. So I'm going TCU all the way there. Hope they beat him as bad as they did last year. Again, the Virginia-North Carolina State game, that's that one's fascinating. And again, it has ramifications all the way to week 3 when West Virginia takes on Virginia. Who's going to win that? I don't know. I'm very excited to watch that one. 304 Talk 304. Texter says it's always going to be the facilities building and Mountaineer Field. Okay, so there's an old school guy out there with us.
Thank you.
Does the fact that college athletes are now paid, therefore no longer amateurs, factor into this discussion in any way? Well, absolutely. It's everything. Absolutely.
Say the question again.
Does the fact that they're getting paid and they're basically no longer amateurs factor into this discussion?
Well, that's why we're having the discussion, right? Because the college, those players realize that there is, especially in these particular cases, are getting cut, way more opportunity to earn higher dollar amounts coming back to college. That's why it's become so popular, yeah.
Texter says definitely no if you declare that you've already turned pro. So there's a no vote. Probably an old school fan, kind of like us as well. One more here. We're going to take a break. Would a player coming out of an NFL camp, would they have time to contribute? As long as the 5-for-5 rule is maintained, also any timeline for decision on Lorient and Buchanan?
Timeline on Buchanan and Lorient. We're still a few weeks away. Based on the court schedule that's out there, you've got another month before that hearing is due. Maybe it gets moved up based on the timeline of the submission of the materials, but we'll have to see. You're still a few weeks away from that. There has been an update in that Colorado case, same type of timing. They've agreed to expedite that, but what that means, whether that's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or we get into the end of September, that remains to be seen as well.
One more here. Texter says, I would oppose any athlete who has signed a professional contract from returning to WVU to compete in athletics. He says Power 4 football and basketball it has its problems due to lack of ethics and going against established rules. So there's one interesting thought there.
Yeah, and again, for now, all of our opinions on this remain hypothetical because they're winning court cases here that are allowing them to do it, right? So we'll have to see where that goes.
Hope I got them all. They were coming in fast and furious there. If I skipped one, I apologize. I'll go back and try to clean it up in a bit. We'll take a break. I believe we've tracked down Coach Aaron LaPoe, so we'll have that conversation about the Kickoff Classic, Clay-Battelle against Cameron, coming up on the CityNet statewide sports line. We're back to the Health Plan Studios after this.
This boating season, elevate your family time with Lou Wendell Marine Sales. Proudly family-owned for over 40 years, Lou and his sons are West Virginia's largest Avalon pontoon dealer. Trusted experts in premium boats, motors, and service. Discover refined comfort, elegant design, and performance you can feel. Now is the perfect time to take advantage of preseason savings. At Lou Wendell Marine Sales, they don't just sell boats. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com because the weekend's almost here.
When was the last time you checked your home's fire safety? From working smoke alarms and clear escape routes to safe heating in the winter, small checks make a big difference. The West Virginia State Fire Marshal's Office has launched a quick, easy home safety survey to help you spot simple fixes around your house before emergency strikes. Take just 5 minutes today to keep your family safe. Visit firemarshal.wv.gov to complete your home safety survey. A message from the West Virginia State Fire Marshal.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet statewide sports line returns in 2 minutes on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
Today's Metro News television forecast is brought to you by Lou Wendell Marine Sales. We sell family fun.
I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. Perhaps the recent crisp air has you thinking that summer heat is gone, but it will be making a comeback. Monday, Charleston had a high in the 70s and a low of 57, the coolest low temperature we've observed in almost 2 months. Cooler yet this morning, down to 53. One more night in the 50s into Wednesday, but after that, we'll transition back to overnight lows, considering out closer to 70 Thursday and Friday. High temperatures instead of 70s will be well into the 80s, if not a high of 90 by Sunday. So all of that is to say, summer heat does make a comeback. But for now, high pressure still has a clear night ahead of us with fog setting up and reducing visibility into the morning hours on Wednesday. By Wednesday evening, the eastern state border might see a stray shower or weak storm. Widespread rain, though, arrives Thursday afternoon, evening, and into the overnight hours. FlyCRW forecast starts at home. Chicago cooling off for later this week. D.C. staying in the upper 80s. Charlotte as well. Meanwhile, hot and stormy toward Orlando and Tampa. The Panhandle forecast. We'll see mid and upper 50s for lows looking north with fog setting up, as mentioned, and reducing some visibility. A touch warmer Wednesday with 81 to 83 here. Going east, we'll see more areas falling below the 60-degree mark overnight, and then topping off well into the 80s. 87 Martinsburg, 88 Petersburg, Elkins 54 overnight, 53 Snowshoe, then 74 for Snowshoe on Wednesday, 83 Elkins, 85 toward Ripley. Going south here, we'll see more mid-50s to low 60s, clear skies and fog setting up, then low to upper 80s on Wednesday. We'll be swinging toward 90 on Sunday and into the start of next week as well. Drier after the Thursday round of thunderstorms.
.304 Talk 304, that's the text line. Sitting at Statewide Sportsline. We're in the Health Plan studios, and take a phone call here. Kyle in Morgantown. His thoughts are always very well organized and well stated. So let's see what he has to say. Kyle, go ahead.
Now, Kyle, don't screw it up. Kyle Wiggs just gave you a great compliment. Don't screw this call up.
From one Kyle to another, I absolutely appreciate that. So, I think before it used to be two things that were just a no-go. You can't bet on the sport, and you can't turn pro and come back. So I think that's something, like, I just can't get behind somebody going pro and then coming back to school. No matter where it's at, unless it's WVU, then I do like it.
Right.
Nah, I'm just kidding. I just can't get behind that. I think it's too much where it just muddies it up even more than it already is. If it was, if they would have just said, just right off the bat, the fifth year from anybody from 2022, you're just eligible, I don't think we have as many of the issues as we have right now. I just think that was such a mistake to not admit that fifth year for everybody. So that's my 2 cents on it.
All right, very good. Well, you lived up to the advanced billing.
Couple things here real quick. We're going to do a production meeting on the air. We can get Coach LaPoe right now. He is off the practice field and available. If our producer, Ethan, can call him, we'll get him on the line here real quick. I would say this, Kyle. How about take it a different way? We're searching for what the line is and what rules you can put in place. This environment of no rules is not sustainable, and everybody in the industry agrees. So you're going to have to compromise and give some things. When the world lands on collective bargaining and you sit in the room and we start to go through this and collectively bargain, because it's headed that way at some point, right? Don't you think this will be one of the first rules that's enacted, is that if you were on a pro roster or if you went to the NFL or NBA, you cannot come back? Won't everybody agree to that up front, knowing you've got to agree to some rules? I think that's kind of where I land on this, is that I think this is probably a rule that most can live with.
Yeah, I think you're right. Kyle, we appreciate the call. Thanks. 304 Talk 304, that is the text line. Texter says, every time you let somebody come back after they sign with a pro team, it robs a younger player of their chance to get recruited. Again, in this, there was another text similar in that vein that said, if you let someone come back, you take something away from a player who's been with you most likely since the spring and has been grinding it out all summer long.
Well, and I understand that. I get that, especially somebody that is on the roster. I do understand that would be tough to swallow. You've been working out all summer. You thought you had a spot. You're enrolled in school. I understand that. That's a hard one to swallow if you're an athlete that gets moved out in that situation. Totally get that. The fact that it may take an opportunity from some recruitable athlete, I get that may be distasteful as well, but that's also part of the world we live in. These coaches are tasked with winning right now, not down the road, and that may open up avenues for other levels. It may increase the mid-major side of things, the Division II side of things. We've talked about that. The one that would get me is if you're on the roster. That's a little harder. I understand that's a tough pill to swallow.
304 Talk 304, the one texter, there's just a lot of Kiffin hate out there. He said he tagged his text with Lane Kiffin as the living definition of an idiot. Again, unless he was your guy. Right, and he was winning for you.
Well, even then, I know Lane rubs some people some wrong way. But if he starts winning games down there, yeah, Ole Miss was all in on Lane Kiffin until they weren't.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. This is the one of the other texts I referred to. How about the player that's been in camp all summer and fall, practicing for a starting position, then an NFL cut comes in and takes his position?
Yep.
Would it ruin team morale?
I don't think it'd ruin team morale because if you win, you win. And I think players know it's a cutthroat business. But I understand where, again, that's a tough one. But listen, even us as fans, Kyle, we go bananas when you don't win games, right? So all of this stuff that we talk about is kind of ancillary when you lose the game. When there's a loss, we don't come in here and say, well, you could have had a couple NFL players, but you didn't because you kept the guys that have been working out with you all summer. You say what? You scream and holler because you didn't win the game. And that's part of the environment that these coaches are operating under and what their argument is.
I think we've tracked down the coach of the Seabees, Coach Aaron LaPoe, with us. Coach, good evening.
Hey, good evening. How are you?
Oh, we're doing well. It's a busy time, man. You've got one less day than everybody else, too, to prepare for this season opener. So, again, we appreciate your time. How's it been going? How does your team look here as you prepare to open up in 2 days?
Oh, I'm not going to lie. We're scrambling. Yeah, today, usually you get Tuesday and Wednesday of, real live hard practices and then, more of a walkthrough on Thursday. And so, it was just today. And so realizing that tomorrow's a walkthrough and then game after that, it's it's intense.
All right, so knowing that we're right up on it and it's go time, and I'm sure you'd love to have more time to practice and get ready, but you just don't have it. So as we sit here, we're 48 hours or so away from the opening game. I'll give you this open-ended question, Aaron. Tell us what you think you know about your team as we sit here on Tuesday night.
I know that we have a few non-negotiables as far as what we believe in, and so I know that and those what we believe in also represents our community. So I know you'll see a tough team, and I know we're really ahead with defense right now. So our defense performed well in our two scrimmages, and so there's a lot of confidence in our defense, and there's a lot of there's experience there, and so I know that we're going to be tough and we're going to fly around and tackle well, and so. That's usually a recipe for success. So that's a nice, that gives us some confidence.
Offensively to start, you've got your quarterback back. So that's exciting. And you also have two outstanding running backs who are veteran players and have been very productive players. So Corey Cohen is going to take the snaps for you. And then you've got Caleb Snodgrass and Caleb Hall in the backfield. So just how does that shape your offense?
That's a lot of production from previous years. So you know that those guys, you don't have question marks there. You know how good they are. And so there's confidence there with that for sure. And so there's a couple other guys, too, that, we have Caleb Bragg. He played free safety for us last year, but he's really a dynamic athlete, and we're going to use him some on offense as well. And we also have Cody Clovis back at receiver. So, to have those running backs and then a veteran quarterback, senior quarterback in Corey, and a couple good receivers, it's like, that should be a recipe for success. But, if I'm honest with you, we look pretty sloppy right now. We're behind the defense. We're still trying to, put our offense together. And part of that stemming from, we haven't talked about the offensive line,
right.
and so we've got a project there with some younger guys. They're tough. I mean, and so they fit our values. It's just kind of like, that's the complicated part of the game of football. And it's not just relying on athleticism. All those guys have to work together and communicate together, and they're all new. So, but I'm happy with the progress they're making. Just even from our first scrimmage to our second scrimmage, it's been leaps and bounds. So they're gonna turn into a really good offensive line, and I really have confidence that by playoff time, we will be a team that can win some playoff games. And but right now I'm out of time. We're playing Cameron on Thursday, so we'll see how they perform there.
Talking with Aaron LaPoe, head coach Clay-Battelle. His team will open the high school football season on MetroNews TV coming up Thursday night, 7 o'clock. All right, let's flip back over for a second, Aaron, to that defense that you say you like so much and performed so well last year, helped you get to that state title game. You were fantastic against this Cameron program in the state semifinals that allowed you to get the win and advance onto that championship game. You were able to contain their running game. It's fantastic. They bring back their star in Marshall Holland. Match that or handicap that matchup for us, your run defense against their very good rush offense.
Yeah, so the Marshall Holland is a very good running back, and I think luckily they're going through a little bit of some new guys on the offensive line like us. So maybe that'll be helpful. But a lot of defensive football is there's a lot of fundamental and technique and being gap sound. There's a lot of intelligence that needs to be had over there, and I think that helped us in the semifinal game because, that was by the time in the playoffs, these kids have learned and grasped and gelled together with everything we're trying to teach them. So if we could repeat that performance, that's definitely, stopping their that effective of a running back and taking their favorite run play away from them is, if you can do that, that's another recipe for success for sure. To handicap that,
that was good. You gave the breakdown there. That's more what I meant was the breakdown. You got it.
Good info. Coach, one more thing for you. The state's coming to Blacksville on Thursday. MetroNews TV, you get to present your program and your fabulous facility out there. I've been out there many times for practices and games, and it's really, really wonderful, and I know you're all proud about it. You're proud of it, and you should be. So what's that going to be like when MetroNews and MetroNews TV comes to town on Thursday?
Oh, our community is, tickled to death. There's a big buzz and there's a lot of excitement. And you're right, being in the western end of Montague County, we get the benefits of being in a county that has the top school system in the state, and being close to Morgantown. But then we also get the benefits of having some land and living the country life and peaceful life, and where you go back in time a little bit, and it's almost like you're watching an old movie of what Friday Night Lights are like. So it's definitely special when you take this this rural scenery and small town football, but then fill the stadium completely up with all kinds of people. It's super exciting for sure.
Well,
and our community is very blessed to get to be this Metro News game and to put a spotlight on the great things we're doing out here at Clay-Battelle.
Well, we're excited for you. We're excited for the game. We're excited for the start of high school football, and we really appreciate your time. Good luck in these last couple of days getting ready.
Thank you. If you could squeeze another couple hours into a day or something like that tomorrow, I'd appreciate it.
All right, we appreciate you, Coach Aaron LaPoe there of Clay-Battelle, taking on Cameron on Thursday. All right, final break. We'll get to some of the thoughts of head coach Rich Rodriguez post-practice as well. The CityNet statewide sports line. CityNet is West Virginia's local internet provider, high-speed, reliable fiber internet, probably right at your front door. Now's the perfect time to connect. Local customer support you can trust, fast, reliable fiber internet built for everyday life. When it's high-speed internet you need, CityNet.net connects, protects, and perfects.
The WVU thoracic surgeons in 5 major cardiac surgery categories. Also, WVU Medicine Thomas Hospitals, Camden Clark Medical Center, and Wheeling Hospital receive top star ratings for heart surgery. Learn more about WVU Medicine's Elite Heart Program at wvumedicine.org/heart.
We are there for you, to care for you at the Health Plan. We are here for you.
It's good to have options for your family or employees. Rooted in your community since 1979, the Health Plan is your trusted partner. Get flexible coverage, exceptional support, and competitive rates.
The Health Plan, we are here for you.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet statewide sports line returns in 2 minutes on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia.
With Metro News Hotline. If it's trending, it's probably here.
And then the other thing,
you own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong.
I think many people have a misconception that all that we do is infertility care, and that's not the case. Reproductive health matters whether or not you're trying to conceive. So we can be dealing with endometriosis, ovulation dysfunction, PCOS. You're getting linked up with all the specialties that you need to optimize your care. And being an advocate for your reproductive health is important. The most rewarding times that I have is when I'm empowering people to take control of their health.
And I put that iron sight down on his brisket and I let it rock, and man, I dropped him in his track.
Whether it's
I'm Sean Kovich, Mountaineer Golf Coach. When disaster strikes your home, business, or golf game, call the restoration company the Mountaineers call. Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration.
The best selection of WVU apparel is at Daniel's Men's Store. Exclusive designs you won't find anywhere else. Stylish, sophisticated, and unmistakably Mountaineer. Shop in store or online at danielsofmorgantown.com.
It's our 23rd anniversary, and to celebrate, we're having a huge anniversary sale all month long on all Toyota trucks and pre-owned vehicles. We've discounted over 100 pre-owned vehicles this month, most of which are local one-owner trades. Great deals on all our Toyota trucks, and with over 90 in stock, now is the time to get yours. From our family to yours, we want to thank you for all the support over 23 years. Dan Cava, Toyota World in Fairmont. Shop the world.
Statewide Sports Line, final segment here. Health Plan Studios. Coach Rich Rodriguez meeting with the media just a few moments ago, and he talked about this last off week, so to speak. It's game week next week, so part of the preparations this week is a game or a scrimmage on Friday.
No, we do a mock game on Friday. I always do it 8 days before the first game, irregardless of what the schedule was, just to get used to the sidelines and how we're going to, substitute in the game and the situations and all that. It's, it takes about an hour. It's all scripted, so it's not anything that's going to be, that we'll make aware of something. But if we're not ready in a particular phase or we're not paying attention to a particular situation, that'll stand out. But we'll do that on Friday, and we'll obviously start on coastal stuff already this week. And then after Friday, it goes back to game week.
So, how many times do you enter season with a lot of questions, or in your mind, do you have?
I think anytime there's new starters. Like if you had returning starters, you know exactly what you have with that. You hope they're a little bit better every year. Every year in a program, if you're developing them the right way, they're going to be better. So there's less unknowns with that, but with a huge amount of new starters, again, there's always a little bit more anxiety, I guess, on exactly how they're going to play. So that's why I told the team today, as a matter of fact, we try to put you under some pressure, intense situations in practice to try to get you ready for the intensity of the game. It won't be the same as a game, but we try to do as much as we can. And we probably, even if we had 20 starters come back, we'd do the same way. But we're doing it now to find like who is really ready.
Rich, are you ever truly ready for the first game? It might sound like a crazy question, but like you said last week, you always have to take more time practicing and stuff.
Yeah, I think because of the unknown, you know, there's so many guys nowadays, but we're not the only team. I mean, very rarely in this day and age of college football do you have a team that has 14 or 15 starters coming back. You know, we're hoping that we will, you know, next year, but I don't, you know, those days are different. So you have to adapt a little bit more. And it's not like that in the NFL either. You're not having a whole roster of 50, half your roster of 52. You don't have that many free agents or guys retiring, what have you. So it's unique to college football or college sports, I guess, in general now, and you just got to have a plan for it.
Is it at all different with your offense in particular that maybe you need a game actually to see a first half played against an opponent to see how much you're clicking?
Not really. I think offensively, in general, it takes a little bit longer to get that rhythm, what have you, because you're not going full speed all the time against comparable guys on the scout team. So, you know, we'll do the best we can and adapt. What I don't want to happen, whether it's on offense or defense or special teams, is have our guys play slower or ineffective because they're thinking too much. You know, whatever they can volume they can handle mentally that we need to have, that we'll have, but by Monday of next week, you know, before we get to the Tuesday practice of next week, you know, I want to know exactly kind of what the plan is, you know, offense, defense, and special teams, that we won't screw up per se, and be ready to roll with it.
Rich, when you have a new quarterback, so maybe not, you know, new to you, what do you look for, and how do you keep the seat on the ground?
Yeah, you want to have guys that be able to really just run the offense, but if they have some explosive ability, whether it's by throwing or running, to add to it, then there's actually less that you have to put in. You know what I mean? So you don't need a wide menu of things if your quarterback can be really dynamic, in whether it's in the throw game or pass game or hopefully both. And you know, I think we have some guys that have that ability. So you don't have to do a whole lot, because you can have some explosive plays. But what I've tried to stress to the quarterbacks the last couple of days, what we need to avoid is the bad plays. You know, if we have you know, turnovers or bad decisions or the bad plays, that can really offset, you know, a lot of good plays before that. So we're working on that, and I think they're pretty conscientious guys, our quarterbacks. So we'll see how it happens.
Have you ever seen a quarterback in there, looked in their eyes, and said, "Oh no, what am I doing?"
You know, no, and that's a fair question. I've played true freshman before in big stadiums, and you're worried about, like, and it turns out I'm more nervous than they am. I'm more nervous for them than they are for them. But I think, again, you know, part of our methodology, whatever you want to call it, is to create some intense, you know, things in practice. And so the games, they're like, yeah, I'm glad coach is not behind me yelling at me. You know, I'm out here just executing the thing. So, but we've got guys, you know, Mike and Scotty have both started games on the Power 4 level, so they've got some experience, and that helps a little bit. It's all, you know, a lot of stuff we're doing is new, so, you know, we'll find out in the first game. But I think there's no, you know, some people have asked me before, like, would you open up with a conference game? Or I think no matter who you open up with, in college football in general, you're probably a little bit more anxious because you have no idea, or you don't have the best idea of what you have.
Rich, you mentioned the unknowns in the first couple of minutes. Just what goes into that, like when you go about assessing the unknowns, and how do you go about managing that as well?
The biggest thing is just to go back to what they've done in practice. If they've played before, you can go back to that. But going back to, you know, we do so much situational stuff in practice, maybe more. I don't know what everybody else does, but we do a whole bunch. And my pet peeve with our team is if we're not paying attention situationally, because we have down and distance every time. We do not run a team period or a skelly period or whatever it is without a down and distance. It's there 100% of the time. And we don't run a team period or skelly period without the 25-second, 40-second clock running. So everything is should be easier in the game. And the games are slower down because you got TV timeouts and the officials are managing it and all that kind of stuff. So, but until we play one, we'll really find out how well. But I've done this long enough. I'd be shocked if we didn't situationally be prepared, as we're going to keep covering it for the next 8 days.
8 days until the season opener. Mountaineer coach Rich Rodriguez there after today's practice, and those comments wrapped up about 15 minutes ago. So we'll have additional coverage at WVMetroNews.com. Brad, while we were listening to the coach, there's news concerning what we were talking about in the SEC.
Breaking news from Ross Dellinger. Ask and you shall receive. We said, would Greg Sankey put his money where his mouth is? He has and his league has. They are banning ex-professional athletes from their leagues. Here's the rules real quick. Anybody that previously declared for the NFL, NBA, or WNBA draft and did not appropriately withdraw, banned from the SEC. Signed a contract with an NFL or other professional football league, NBA G League, or NBA or G League, or WNBA or an affiliate team. Ineligible. Been listed on an NFL or other professional league, NBA, G League, or WNBA roster. You are ineligible. So Big Ten and SEC officially on board.
Very interesting. We'll talk more about it tomorrow. Thanks for listening. Thanks for participating via the phone and the text. And we're back tomorrow night with the CityNet Statewide Sports Line.
From the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet Statewide Sports Line is an exclusive production of the MetroNews Radio Network. All rights reserved.